A garden designed in memory of the BBC weather presenter Dianne Oxberry is now helping patients and their loved ones at a hospice.
Yeah, you remember that Dianne died from ovarian cancer 5 years ago, aged just 51. And the Sunshine Garden, named after her, it was originally designed for a garden show at Tatton Park in Cheshire to raise awareness of the disease. But it's now flourishing in its new home on the Wirral, as Annabelle Tiffin reports.
Welcome to a British summer here in the northwest of England.
In the sunshine, the wind and the rain, Dianne presented for North West Tonight from the RHS Tatton Flower Show for 20 years.
She had been every year and she absolutely loved going there. I mean, Tatton Flower Show is really special, isn't it? And especially when you get really nice weather.
So it was only right that 6 months after her sudden death in 2019, she would be remembered and honoured at the show.
Our Sunshine Garden has been created in memory of our colleague Dianne Oxberry, who died in January.
She would never have considered that that would be something that would happen to her, but I think she would be so moved by, you know, if she were alive today, to know that this had been done in her name.
The garden included sunflowers grown from seeds given out at her memorial service, and a rose commissioned by her husband Ian called Florida Sunset.
We do talk about the symptoms of ovarian cancer because that's what the Dianne Oxberry Trust is there for. But when you talk about the rose, it's the focal point for many people, as if the rose were Dianne, and it brings us all together around it.
When the show ended, the garden lived on. Parts of it were donated to the Wirral Hospice St John's in Clatterbridge, where they continue to flourish and blossom, tended to by a team of volunteers.
It's good for the staff, it's good for us as volunteers, the patients as well. There's always somebody comments about the garden or asks advice, something like that really, yeah.
Well, hopefully our Sunshine Garden played a little part of it.
It did, yes it did really.
At the show in 2019, I met Sue, a patient at the hospice.
It's just a lovely place.
Because gardens are so tranquil, aren't they?
And we're looking forward to having this at our hospice.
Sadly, Sue passed away in 2020, but her husband Charlie now volunteers at the hospice. One part of the garden is particularly special to him. Well, you call it the Love Shack.
The Love Shack.
But this is where we chatted, wasn't it?
Yes,
with
it
Sue?
was. Yeah.
So it holds some lovely memories.
Lovely memories. I like to come here and just sit and just remember Susan here.
And look out
at the beautiful gardens, yeah.
Dianne and the Tatton Flower Show were intrinsically linked for 2 decades. And through her Sunshine Garden, her memory will continue to flourish.
And it's another extraordinary thing to think that it's a sort of legacy, isn't it? Somewhere else that's been moved, but it's still got Dianne's name on it.
I think, although she would be slightly embarrassed that it's all happening, I think she would be pleased.
That was Eamon O'Neill from the Dianne Oxberry Trust finishing that report by Annabelle Tiffin. And, you know, we all worked with Dianne, and it's so true what Eamon said at the end there. Despite being on the telly doing the weather, she was really quite shy and quite modest. And so to know that all of this legacy had gone on, she'd be slightly embarrassed, but I think she'd actually love it as well.
And there's a little rose garden, isn't there, just outside the studio here that we walk past every day that's also in her memory.
And people, when you're out and about, people still remember Dianne with such fondness. She was a real face for the North West.
Indeed.